Polembole.
Zaxis95 just subscribed for 20 months. Sneersama.
But maybe
You're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonder wall. I heard this song at the gas station when I was pumping my gas the other day after work. Okay, I'm gonna study a little bit, but I'll mark it underneath ASMR because I'm mainly gonna be just reading the book rather than talking to y'all. So I feel it's more ASMR than just chatting. But let me just get set up and then we'll actually get started. I wanna commit to actually studying and doing this fucking shit. We're winding, and all the lights that light the way are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. I said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my snot ball. Oh my god, I should do like a snot ball cover of the song. I'm actually cooking. That saves me. And after all, you're my snot ball. Okay, let me actually get started. You're my snot ball. Okay. Let me actually post something. You're my snot ball. You're gonna be the snot that saves me. Do you guys like it when I do snotball versions of songs? You're gonna be the snot that saves. Oh my god. I don't know if we should listen to this. I think the sleeves will take me over. I'm trying to be I need to be focused right now. Dude, my music is so good, dude. It gives me such Churros vibes, right? Unless it's him. It sounds just like him. I'm tweaking. Okay, let's actually be a VTuber and post. Alright, try. I think we're about to get started. I'm gonna run a short vibe, short ad real quick, I guess, before we get started. So I'm just gonna read just whatever. We're just vibing. That's really what the vibe is today. Okay, I have it pulled up. Okay, the vibe today, I'm just gonna read y'all just different passages of this book that I'm using to study. I mean, low-key though, I'll read out stuff that could be interesting to you, but also things if you're a gamer, it could be helpful to know this. You know what I mean? I think that I'll try to target the gamer today to try to we can all be educated together to learn more about computers because we all use some sort of device, right? To be here, what have you. Although this is an older version of the current exam that I'm trying to take though. but most of it is like still pertinent. It's just like different weighting of subjects, I think, for the most part. I mean, I think some things are taken off and changed, but for the most part, it'll still be helpful. So I have this book, and then I also have like I can take a little test, but I think I'm just kind of like in the mood to read right now. I don't want to like take a test because in the past few days I've been taking mainly tests or quizzes, if you will, and reading flashcards, and it's just a little bit more jarring. I kind of like sometimes just reading a passage. I wanted to read about expansion cards. So I'll start here. We're on chapter 2. I don't think I need to go through all this because we'll go over it together as we read. But I'll start here. This song is so good. I have to like I have to change it. I have to change it. And I'll play chill music so I can focus because I'm just gonna get distracted. Let me drink some water and then we'll get started. This song is so good. I'm so distracted right now. I'm tempted to eventually add it to my rave playlist. Also, what's up, Nami? Creature. Z-Axis. Oh, thank you for the 20 months, Z-Axis. That's crazy, man. That's 20 months with me. I appreciate that. That really means a lot to me. I remember all my long time subs and all the long time shabals. Oh, the song is so fucking good. I'm like distracted right now. Okay, so I found I have actually an ebook version of the book that I've been reading on stream. So it's like that's probably just more accessible for y'all to read along with me rather than like trying to fucking read the book through the camera and it's like cooked. Because if my desk was bigger and I had like a better tripod, I could maybe make it work. I think we'd probably be more engaging, but this is just more accessible for people to read, for sure. I shouldn't get in trouble for reading it. Worst case scenario, I'll just delist the video. So everyone here will absorb the knowledge. And it is what it is. But fuck it. I think information should be free. And it's okay. You know, there's no way they find me through the 7-8 layers of niche that took us to get here. There's no way, right? Okay, so I'll start reading about. Oh my god! Freaking my dude! As I was saying that, my camera fell off. Okay, no, there's no. I'm listening to the song because it was so magical. Okay, let's listen to chill music. I'm gonna turn it down so I'm not too distracted by the melodicism, I guess. Okay, let's actually try to study now. So my goal right now, I want to actually pass the cert before the end of the year. So I'm gonna probably do more studying streams. But I mean, just treat it as just random, 20 random computer facts to fall asleep to. Just bullshit. But maybe you can also learn something. Because I did pay money for this book, and I don't care sharing. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? They can, worst case scenario, I just get striked. But I mean, that's worth it to share information. As a PC technician, you need to know quite a bit about hardware. Given the importance and magnitude of this knowledge, the best way to approach learning about it is in sections. The first chapter will introduce the topic via the primary core components, and this chapter follows up where it left off. First, we will look at adding functionality by plugging expansion cards into the motherboard. Then we will focus on storage devices that hold data persistently. That is, they don't require power to maintain data like RAM does. Finally, we will end the chapter by looking at the simple looking but potentially dangerous box that gives the components the energy they need, the power supply. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Installing and configuring expansion cards. An expansion card, also known as an adapter card, is simply a circuit board that you install into a computer that increases the capabilities of that computer. Okay. Expansion cards come in varying formats for different uses, but the important thing to note is that no matter what function a card has, the card being installed must match the bus type of the motherboard into which it is being installed. For example, you can install a PCIe network card into a PCIe expansion slot only. For today's integrated components, those built into the motherboard, you might not need an adapter to achieve the related services, but you will still need to install a driver, a software program that lets the operating system talk to the hardware to make the integrated devices function with the operating system. Most motherboard manufacturers supply drivers with their motherboards, typically on a flash drive, that contain all the device drivers needed to get the built-in electronics recognized by the operating system. Okay. That makes sense. Hi, Cyclops. I need help. I can't sleep. What should I do? Either fight the feeling or let it happen. Sometimes if I try to fall asleep for 15 minutes and it doesn't happen, I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna stay awake and then pretend that I don't want to fall asleep. Sometimes I just like, I'll just do something else to tire me out. Like play a video game or like watch a video. Drink some more water. Dude, I'm cooked. This song is so good. Most execution of the driver's setup program generally results in all components working properly. The following are the 4 most common categories of expansion cards installed today: video, multimedia, network interface, input/output. Let's take a quick look at each of these card types, their functions, and what some of them look like. Okay, so I have like a filter on to make it dark mode because I don't want to fucking download something. So all the pictures are gonna look spooky. Video. A video card, sometimes called a graphics card, is the expansion card that you put into a computer to allow the computer to present information on some kind of display, typically a monitor or a projector. A video card is also responsible for converting the data sent to it by the CPU into the pixels, addresses, and other items required for display. Sometimes video cards can include dedicated chips to perform some of these functions, thus accelerating the speed of display. You will encounter 2 classes of video cards: onboard cards and add-on cards. Onboard or integrated cards are built into the motherboard. As mentioned earlier, you need to install a device driver to get them to work properly, but those often come packaged with the motherboard itself. The upside to an integrated card is that it frees up an expansion slot. The manufacturer can either leave the slot open or design the motherboard and/or case to be smaller. One downside is that if the video card fails, you need a new motherboard, or you can install an add-on card. Okay. A second downside is that the onboard video cards aren't typically high-end. Onboard cards generally share system memory with the processor, which limits the quality of graphics one can produce. If the user wants great graphics for a powerful video card, then an add-on card is almost always the way to go. For example, serious gamers will always insist on a separate video card. Yeah, I don't think anyone on Reddit's using their integrated onboard card graphics, I guess. I swear there's like a clip where Pika was like using his onboard graphics card rather than his I don't even know. IDK. Okay. As for add-on cards, PCIe is the preferred expansion slot type. you might be able to find the rare outdated motherboard that still offers a legacy AGP slot. And you might see some cheap PCI video cards, but they are uncommon. Yo, I literally just got a pop-up to update my drivers. What? What? The hacker in my computer is listening to me. Okay, okay, focus. And you might see some cheap PCI video cards, but they are uncommon. The technology on which PCIe was designed performs better for video than those on which AGP and PCI are based. Figure 2.1 shows an example of a PCIe x16 video card. The video card pictured is a 10.6 inch, 270 millimeter long, is 10.6 inches or 270 millimeters long, and takes up quite a bit of space inside the case. Most cards today have built-in fans like this one does to reduce the chance of overheating. PCIe video expansion card. No, yep, that looks like one. Yeah, GeForce RTX 2070. Holy shit, dude. Okay. Damn. Okay, lock in. There is an extensive range of video cards available today on the market. For everyday usage, cards with 1 to 2 gigabytes of video memory are inexpensive and will do the trick. For gamers, for gamers, high-end cards with a minimum of 8 gigabytes GDDR5 are recommended. Of course, over the lifespan of this book, that number is sure to increase, yeah. As of this writing, cards with 24 gigabytes GDDR6 are available. What's like the highest end graphics card you can get right now, chat? The technology is always being pushed. I have no idea like what it actually is right now. High-end video cards can easily cost several $1,000s. The two main standards for video cards are the NVIDIA GeForce series and the AMD Radeon, formerly ATI Radeon line. Gamers will debate the pros and cons of each platform, but know that you can get a range of performance from good to phenomenal from either one. Yeah, I mean, I literally have a GTX, or I have an NVIDIA like 3060, I think. Pretty sure. I forgot. I have it on my website. I forgot. I like how they talk about gamers and debating. That is so funny. When looking for a card, know how much memory is wanted or needed, and how many and which type of video ports, such as HDMI or DisplayPort, are available. We will talk more about the pros and cons of several video connectors in Chapter 3, peripherals, cables, and connectors. Multimedia. The most basic and prolific multimedia adapter is the sound card. Video capture cards also offer multimedia experiences, but are less common than sound cards. Okay. Just as there are devices to convert computer signals to printouts and video information, there are devices to convert those signals into sound. These devices are known as sound cards. Although sound cards started out as pluggable adapters, this functionality is one of the most common integrated technologies found on motherboards today. A sound card typically has small, round 1/8 jacks on the back of it for connecting microphones, headphones, and speakers, as well as other sound equipment. Older sound cards use a DA15 game port, which could be used for either joysticks or musical instrument digital interface MIDI controllers. Figure 2.2 shows an example of a sound card with a DA15 game port. Okay, I'm pretty sure mine has, I think my motherboard has something like this. A classic sound card. In our section on video cards, we noted that integrated cards have inferior performance to add-on ones, and though the same holds true for sound cards, the difference isn't quite as drastic. Many of today's motherboards come equipped with a 5.1 or 7.1 analog or digital audio and supports other surround sound formats as well. For everyday users and even many gamers, integrated audio is fine. Do you guys use your integrated audio in your motherboard, or do you guys have like an actual sound card? I think I just used my integrated one. For users who need extra juice, such as those who produce movies or videos or do other audio, video, AV editing, a specialized add-on sound card is a must. Very good quality sound cards can be found for under $100 compared with cheaper models around $20. There isn't a huge difference in price as there is with CPUs and video cards. Look for a card with a higher sampling rate measured in kilohertz, kHz, and higher signal to noise ratio measured in decibel. The de facto standard for sound cards is the Sound Blaster brand. Sound Blaster. Although other brands exist, they will often tout Sound Blaster compatibility in their advertising to show that they are legit. Integrated motherboard audio will typically have about a 90 kilohertz sampling rate and 85 to 90 decibel signal to noise ratio, SNR or SN. A good add-on sound card can provide sampling of 190 kilohertz or more and a SNR of 115 decibels or higher. The difference is noticeable, especially in professional production that may be played at loud volumes. Oh. Okay. I should probably play only instrumental music so I don't get distracted. In addition to audio outputs... Oh, did I feel a burp coming? Sorry. In addition to audio outputs, many AV editors will require the ability to input custom music from an electronic musical keyboard or other device. A term you will hear in relation to this is the MIDI standard. As noted earlier, old sound cards would sometimes have a round 5-pin MIDI port, which was used to connect the musical keyboard or other instrument to the computer. Today, digital music instrument connections are often made via USB. Nonetheless, you will see the term MIDI compatible used with a lot of digital musical devices. Video capture cards. A video capture card is a standalone add-on card often used to save a video stream to the computer for later manipulation or sharing. This can be video from an internet site or video from an external device such as a digital camera or smartphone. Video sharing sites on the internet make video capture cards quite popular with enterprises and internet users alike. True. Video capture cards need and often come with software to aid in the processing of multimedia input. While video and sound cards are internal expansion devices, capture cards can be internal PCIe or external USB. Okay. Not all video capture cards record audio signals while processing video signals. If this feature is important to you or the end user, be sure to confirm that the card supports it. Also know that capture cards work with standalone video resolutions, and specific cards might be limited on the resolution they support. Double check the specifications to make sure the card will meet the need, and also make sure to get reviews of the software used with the device. Okay. Okay, this is where we were. Network interface card. A network interface card, NIC, is an expansion card that connects a computer to a network so that it can communicate with other computers on that network. It translates the data from the parallel data stream used inside the computer into the serial data stream that makes up the frames used on the network. It translates the data from the parallel data stream used inside the computer into the serial data stream that makes up the frames on the network. Okay. Internal cards have a connector for the type of expansion bus on the motherboard, PCIe or PCI, and external cards typically use USB. In addition to physically installing the NIC, you need to install drivers for the NIC in order for the computer to use the adapter to access the network. Figure 2.3 shows a PCIe x1 Ethernet NIC with an RJ45 port. Network connectors are covered in more detail in Chapter 3. Figure 2.3, a network interface card. Note: many computers, especially mobile devices, have NIC circuitry integrated into their motherboards. Therefore, a computer with an integrated NIC won't need to have a NIC expansion card installed unless it was faster or you were using the second NIC for load balancing, splitting the traffic between two cards to increase speed, security, or fault tolerance, having a backup in case one fails, applications. Okay, interesting. You will see two different types of network cards, wired and wireless. A wired card has an interface for the type of network it is connecting to, such as fiber connectors, register to Jack 45, RJ45, for unshielded twisted pair, UTP, antenna for wireless, or BNC for legacy coax. Wireless cards, of course, don't need to use wires, so they won't necessarily have one of these ports. Some do just for compatibility or desperate necessity. True that, brother. Okay. Wireless NICs have the unique characteristic of requiring that you configure their connecting device before configuring the NIC. Wired NICs can generally create a link and begin operation just by being physically connected to a hub or switch. The wireless access point or ad hoc partner computer must also be configured before secure communication. At a minimum, can occur by using a wireless NIC. These terms are explained in greater detail in Chapter 7, Wireless and SOHO Networks. Figure 2.4 shows a PCIe wireless NIC for a desktop computer. On the back of it, the left side of the picture is the wireless antenna. Figure 2.4, a wireless NIC. Sorry, it looks like it's cursed because I have a filter on. Interesting. Linksys Wireless G PCI adapter. Should I read this real world scenario right now? Sure. The way of the dinosaur. Before high-speed wireless internet was available pretty much everywhere you went, wannabe web users needed to connect to the internet using the plain old telephone system, POTS. What? Doing so required a device called a modem. Old telephone lines were analog, and of course computers are digital. The modem got its name because it modulated and demodulated analog and digital signals to enable computers to connect to each other over analog telephone lines. Modems look a bit like network cards, but the connector is smaller. Instead of the 8-pin RJ45 connector, phone lines use the 44-pin RJ11 connector. For those of you interested in history, a modem is shown in figure 2.5. Notice it has two connectors. It's probably too hard to see in figure 2.5, but modems with two connectors have a small telephone icon etched into the faceplate. This tells you which connector to use to plug into the wall and which one to plug a telephone into. If the modem was in use, the telephone could not be used. Only one connection at a time. Wow. Imagine you're trying to use the internet and someone's on the phone so you can't fucking watch a YouTube video. Interesting. Input-output. An input-output card is often used as a catch-all phrase for any expansion card that enhances the system, allowing it to interface with devices that offer input to the system, output from the system, or both. The following are common examples of modern I/O cards: USB cards, storage cards such as eSATA, Thunderbolt cards. Figure 2.6 shows a 7-port PCIe times 1 USB expansion card left, next to an eSATA card right. So the left one is eSATA. No, the right is eSATA and the left is a PCIe. Okay. USB cards commonly come in 2, 4, and 7-port configurations, whereas eSATA cards often have 1 or 2 external ports. This eSATA card also has 2 internal SATA connectors on the top left in this picture of the card. You'll also find cards that have multiple port types, such as eSATA and USB. Okay. These cards are to be installed in a compatible slot on the motherboard. Their configuration is minimal, and it is usually completed through the operating system's plug-and-play (PNP) process. Nevertheless, checking the BIOS settings after installation for new entries in the menu structure. It's the job of the BIOS to track all the hardware in the system and supply resources as needed. For example, a new Thunderbolt expansion card might allow you to configure whether attached Thunderbolt devices should be allowed to wake the system, how long a delay should be observed between waking the system, and various settings for how to use memory and other resources. Oh. Huh. Okay. Okay. Also, I have some candy, so I might be eating a little bit. I have some Skittles and some chips. Mm. 2 SATA connectors, like right here. I guess you guys can see my cursor. That's fine. Adapter configuration. Expansion cards might require configuration. However, most can be recognized automatically by a PNP operating system. Didn't I just read this? In other words, resources are handled out automatically without jumper settings, or the installation of device drivers is handled or requested automatically. Supplying the drivers might be the only form of configuration required. Some adapters, however, require more specific configuration steps during installations. For example, 2 or more PCIe graphics adapters that support SLI might be bridged together with a specific hardware that comes with the adapters. Bridged together. Okay. Most sound cards tend to work with no specific configuration, but advanced features will need to be implemented through the operating system or through utilities that came with the adapter. The functions of video capture cards are sometimes not native to the operating system, and therefore come with advanced utilities that must be learned and configured before the adapters will work as expected. Okay. Okay. Wireless network adapters often require the installation of a screwed-on antenna, which should be postponed until after the card is fully inserted and physically secured in the system. Software configuration that allows these cards to communicate with a wireless access point can be challenging for the novice. Oh, okay. Challenging me? Wired network adapters tend to be easier to configure than wireless ones. Nevertheless, even wired NICs might require manual configuration of certain protocol devices or protocol settings, such as an IP addressing, duplex, and speed in order for them to be productive. In general, installation and configuration steps for expansion cards can be summarized as follows. 1. Ensure the computer is powered off. 2. Install the adapter into an open slot. 3. Connect power if needed. This most often applies to video cards. 4. After booting up the computer, install the driver. Again, plug and play may take care of this automatically for you. 5. If the card isn't recognized or providing the expected functionality, check the BIOS for configuration settings. 6. For other configuration options, use the utility provided by the manufacturer if applicable. In any event, consult the documentation provided with your adapter or the manufacturer's website for additional configuration requirements or options. The more specialized the adapter, the more likely it will come with specialty configuration utilities. Okay. Okay. I feel like I do this. But I'm not sure. Like, I do. Okay. For the exam, you will be expected to know how to install, configure add-on cards. Okay. Understanding storage devices. Okay, I tried plugging in an external card and my computer screamed in pain until I unplugged it from the wall and tips. Okay. Okay, we gotta take this guy fucking to the repair shop or something. Thankfully, sure. Okay, first rule. Turn the computer off. Understanding storage devices. Uh-oh. Sorry to say this, Skittle. What good is a computer without a place to put everything? Wolf. This guy's asking the right questions right now. Storage media hold the files that the operating system needs to operate and the data that users need to save. What about saving to the cloud? The computers that make up the cloud, rather than the local computer, hold the storage media. The many different types of storage media differ in terms of their capacity, how much they can store, access time, how fast the computer can access the information, and the physical type of media used. Hard disk drive systems. Hard disk drive, HDD systems, or hard drives for short, are used for permanent storage and quick access. Hard drives typically reside inside the computer, where they are semi-permanently mounted with no external access, although there are external and removable hard drives, and can hold more information than other forms of storage. Hard drives use a magnetic storage medium, and they are known as conventional drives to differentiate them from newer solid-state storage media. The hard disk drive system contains the following 3 critical components. Controller. This component controls the drive. The controller chip controls how the drive operates and how the data is encoded onto the platters. It controls how the data sends signals to the various motors in the drive and receives signals from the sensors inside the drive. Nearly all hard disk drive technologies incorporate the controller and drive into one assembly. Today, the most common and well-known of these technologies is Serial Advanced Technology Attachment, SATA. SATA. It's a beautiful name for a baby girl. Hard disk. All hard disk drive technology incorporate the controller and the drive into one assembly. Hard disk. This is a physical storage medium. Hard disk drive systems store information on all disks. Hard disk drive systems store information on small disks from under 1 inch to 5 inches in diameter, also called platters, stacked together and placed in an enclosure. Okay. Host bus adapter. The host bus adapter, HBA, is the translator converting signals from the controller to signals that the computer can understand. Most motherboards today incorporate the host adapter into the motherboard circuitry, offering headers for drive cable connections. Legacy host adapters and certain modern adapters house the hard drive controller circuitry. Okay. Figure 2.7 shows a hard disk drive and host adapter. Hard disk drive host adapter. Okay. The hard drive controller is integrated into the drive in this case. The hard drive controller is integrated into the drive in this case, but it could reside on the host adapter in other hard drive technologies. This particular example shows a hard drive plugging into an expansion card. Today's drives almost always connect straight to the motherboard, again with the HBA being integrated with the drive itself. Okay. So this is kind of like, I guess, how you would see a hard drive actually hooked up. Hard drives, regardless of whether they are magnetic or solid state, most often connect to the motherboard SATA or Parallel Advanced Technology Attachment, PATA interfaces. You learn about SATA and PATA in Chapter 1, but Figure 2.8 provides a reminder of what the interfaces look like. SATA is on the top. The back of the hard drive will have data and power connectors. Figure 2.9 shows the data and power connectors for a PATA drive and a SATA drive. 4 SATA and 2 PATA ports. SATA, okay. And then a PATA. SATA PATA. Today, IDE PATA hard drives are essentially obsolete. Most of that is due to the limitations in transfer speeds. Most PATA hard drives follow the ATA10 standard, which has a maximum transfer speed of 100 megabytes per second. Wait, really? That's crazy. There are faster ATA standards such as ATA 133 and ATA 167, but drives using those standards are rare. SATA 3, also known as SATA 6 gigabyte per second, on the other hand, has a maximum transfer speed of 600 megabytes per second. That's crazy, man. I wonder how technology books in the future will be, because it's going to be like, I bet the technology is going to get even better. I mean, we're seeing a fucking technology arms race in live. So, I should just reading about computers right now. Note: there's another hard drive connector type called SAS, or Serial Attached SCSI. SCSI is pronounced SCSI, and stands for Small Computer System Interface. Aren't acronyms within acronyms great? Yeah, I fucking hate that. As an engineer or someone that works in the tech field, there's just so many fucking acronyms, man. SAS tends to be a little bit faster than SATA. It is used mostly in enterprise computing applications. You don't see many SATA ports on conventional desktop or laptop motherboards. SAS is not on the A+ exam objective, but it is on the A+ acronym list. Interesting. Figure 2.9. PATA top and SATA bottom, hard drive data, and power connectors. Yeah, PATA is long. Anatomy of a hard drive. A hard drive is constructed in a clean room to avoid the introduction of contaminants into the hermetically sealed drive casing. Once a casing is sealed, most manufacturers seal one or more of the screws with a sticker warning that removal of or damage to the seal will result in voiding the driver's warranty. Even some of the smallest contaminants can damage the precision components, if allowed, inside the hard drive's external shell. The following is a list of terms used to describe these components in the following paragraph: platters, read and write heads, tracks, sectors, cylinders, clusters, allocation units. Platters, read and write heads, trackers, sectors, cylinders, clusters. Okay. Inside the sealed case of the hard drive lie one or more platters, where the actual data is stored by the read-write heads. The heads are mounted on a mechanism that moves them in tandem across both surfaces of all platters. Older drives use a stepper motor to position the heads at discrete points along the surface of the platters, which spin at thousands of revolutions per minute on a spindle mounted to a hub. Newer drives use voice coils for a more analog movement, resulting in reduced data loss because the circuitry can sense where the data is located through a servo scheme, even if the data shifts due to changes in physical disk geometry. Figure 2.10 shows the internal components of a conventional hard drive. Okay. So the platters are sealed inside a case. The hard drives lie where the actual data is stored. The heads are mounted on a mechanism that moves them in tandem across both surfaces of all platters. Okay. I'll probably want to watch a video of it actually saving data. Before a hard drive can store data, it must be prepared. Factory preparation for newer drives, or low-level formatting in the field for legacy drives, maps the inherent flaw of the platters so that the drive controllers know not to place data in the compromised locations. Wait, before a hard drive can store data, it must be prepared. Factory preparation for newer drives or low-level formatting in the field for legacy drives maps the inherent flaws of the platter so the drive controllers know not to place data in these compromised locations. Additionally, this phase in drive preparation creates concentric rings or tracks which are drawn magnetically across the surface of the platters. Sectors are then delineated within each of the tracks. Sectors are the magnetic domains that represent the smallest unit of storage on the disk platters. This is illustrated in figure 2.11. Magnetic drive sectors commonly store only 512 bytes or half a kilobyte of data each. Interesting. Okay, so tracks. Okay. Okay, I'm following. So each of these like little strips, I guess, it's like half a kilobyte each. Okay. The capacity of a hard drive is a function of the number of sectors it contains. Okay, I mean that makes sense. The controller for the hard drive knows exactly how the sectors are laid out within the disk assembly. It takes directions from the BIOS when writing information to and reading information from the drive. The BIOS, however, does not always understand the actual geometry of the drive. For example, the BIOS does not support more than 63 sectors per track. What? Jeffrey, I have this song added to my chill playlist. This song is such a vibe. Okay, wait. Let me pay attention now. The BIOS does not always understand the actual geometry of the drive. For example, the BIOS does not support more than 63 sectors per track. Nevertheless, almost all hard drives today have tracks that contain many more than 63 sectors per track. What? As a result, a translation must occur from where the BIOS believes it is directing information to be written to where the information is actually written by the controller. When the BIOS detects the geometry of the drive, it is because the controller reports dimensions that the BIOS can understand. The same sort of trickery occurs when the BIOS reports to the operating system a linear address space for the operating system to use when requesting that data be written to or read from the drive through the BIOS. What? The BIOS reports to the OS a linear address space for the OS to use when requesting the data to be written to or read from the drive through the BIOS. Okay. Okay. After initial drive preparation, the drive is formatted with the file system by the operating system, and then it's ready to store data. File systems laid down on the tracks and their sectors routinely group a configurable number of sectors into equal or larger sets called clusters or allocated units. This concept exists because operating system designers have to settle on a finite number of addressable units of storage and a fixed number of bits to address them uniquely. Designers have to settle on a finite number of addressable units of storage and a fixed number of bits to address them uniquely. Okay. The drive is formatted with a file system by the operating system, and then it's ready to store. Okay, so it's formatted. Oh, because you have to format your drive. Okay. Wait, this is mind fucking me right now. Let me just reread this. So sometimes the BIOS doesn't understand how many sectors are inside a hard drive. the controller can translate that information for the BIOS so it properly is storing in the right place. That same process is used conversely for how the BIOS reports to the OS where it can store or read data in the drive. Okay, that's what it's basically trying. It's just worded in tech speak. After it's prepared, you have to format the drive in the OS. Then it can store data. Lay down on the tracks and the sectors routinely group a configurable number of sectors. The file system that is formatted with the OS will group sectors on the hard drive into clusters or allocated units. They have to create clusters because OS designers only have a finite number of addressable storage units. Okay. Okay, I get it. Okay, I just had to just read it again. Okay. It's the hard thing about a lot of like software, if you don't like software, if you work in a field that deals with no software at all, if you don't never done coding or you never done programming or anything about that, it's like when you think about hardware and software are like basically like yin and yang to me. Like they're like yin and yang, like they're opposites, right? Hardware is like your earth, like you're grounded. You're grounded in reality. You can physically see it, touch it, feel it, get electrocuted, right? Like hardware you can physically see and it's a lot more tangible. But software is like the intangible. It's like the spiritual. Like software is like spiritual in a way. It's like theory and methodology and rules and structure. But it's intangible as well, right? And it's like, heaven and earth, I mean? It's like it's like a lot of like theory in a way. So you kind of have to like have like a good kind of mental imaging of how all of these different kind of protocols or theories or rules interplay with each other, right? At all of the different levels of not only the OSI model, but different levels of engineering, from like the micro level to the macro level, right? Where it's just like with engineering or tech or even science as a whole, you can go so finitely, macro, where you just know a wide ranging aspects of all different parts of the system, or you can go like super micro and just go to the super finite, like, we just get really into the weeds of one specific topic, for example. And I feel that so strongly with engineering or tech, the more that you kind of learn and develop your skills, because like you realize how there's just so much knowledge out there that it's, unless you have like perfect memory, it's so overwhelming just trying to think about how much you don't know, right? But I think that's also a beautiful thing, knowing that there's a lot that we don't know and trying to understand that and trying to like figure out and digest it in a way that we don't go mentally insane. But for me, I love software, I love programming, but I've always struggled with it because a lot of it is based in theory for me. I mean, it is based in theory, right? But sometimes like certain concepts, it's just so hard for me like to wrap my mind around it, because it's kind of like the way that we all think of a theory is different. And I think sometimes the way that I approach programming or software even as a whole, it's just like, if you don't have like that kind of, if you're really bad at remembering rules, it's so hard, what I mean? It's so hard. I don't know, but it's so like magical, and it's really cool. It's so cool because like you wouldn't really be able to do anything without software. Like, I mean, your hardware would be useless, so I think it kind of breathes life into technology in a way when you kind of think of it that way, right? And being able to understand that is so empowering in a way, because it's like I understand like what is actually going on, like what commands are actually being done. The best is they meet at a low level can be incredibly esoteric. Yeah, true. I'm going for a cert. I'm going for A+ cert. I plan to do a few more certs after, but I'm just after I finish this cert and I get it, I would want to work on my home lab and try to play around with some things. That's my plan. And then I'll try to get some more certs and get a better job. But I'm having a lot of fun learning about this, though. It's really interesting. Hopefully you guys are okay with me reading this because I feel like it also could be helpful. Like I had to pay for this fucking book. I think knowledge should be free. Fuck, you know what I mean? So I don't care. You know, who cares? But if you're not interested in it, right, it'll be kind of like whatever. Okay, that was kind of like a mind fuck reading that chapter, but I get it though. But that's cool because I never really fully understood hard drives before. Yeah, I think that's true. Like maintaining that knowledge is really hard for me. Because I have bad memory. One, because I've just probably too much smoko, but that's my own fault. But I mean, even like when you think about it, if you don't really apply your knowledge, it's hard to kind of actively recall it unless you're forcing yourself to study every day or have a very strict structural routine. For me at least, right? And it's something I'm trying to hold myself more accountable to, like with streaming this stuff and talking about it, or just reading off stream or testing myself off stream. Because when I was at my old engineering job, like I really did not push myself. I kind of just wasted away at my job because I was so miserable. And I think now that like I'm in a healthier kind of environment, even though it's not perfect, right? I think all of the hardship has kind of driven me to push myself. And I was really like having massive imposter syndrome where I was like, I'm not smart enough to be like an engineer or to be someone that works in tech or STEM or what have you. So I think this is a way of empowering myself by, regaining that sense that I am studious. Like I love learning and I love understanding things, esoteric or otherwise, right? And I think it's a way to empower yourself, right? It's one of the ways to kind of hold on to power or have any sort of power in today's modern day and age when we're ruled by technocrats. Sorry, I don't want to get killed. Whatever. But I really do think, trying to learn more, sometimes it can be kind of a snore, but I think it really is a great privilege, to have the freedom to study what I want. It could be a lot worse, and it could be I could be in a worse situation where I don't even have the time or effort to do this, to further myself or my career, or my knowledge, my skills, right? So I always loved sharing information. I was always the kind of person where I would always, if someone asked for what I had, I would give it to them. Like I would always want to help people, and I always apply that to my like work too. Like, even though it's like my dream job right now, I still try to pull things that I could carry on with me to future jobs, right? Or future adventures or future things that I do or future fields or whatever, right? Anyways, I've been talking too long. No two files are allocated to occupy the same sectors, so the opportunity exists for a waste of space if small files occupy only part of a sector. Oh, okay. Clusters exacerbate the problem by having a similar foible? Similar foibe? The operating system does not allow any two files to occupy the same cluster. Oh, I didn't know that. Thus, the larger the cluster size, the larger the potential waste. So although you could increase the cluster size generally to as large as 64 kilobytes, which corresponds to 128 sectors, you should keep in mind that unless you are storing a notable number of very large files, the waste will escalate astoundingly, perhaps negating or reversing your perceivable storage capacity increase. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. HDD speeds. As the electronics within the HBA and controller get faster, they are capable of requesting data at higher and higher rates. If the plotters are spinning at a constant rate, however, the information can be accessed only as fast as a given fixed rate. To make information available to the electronics more quickly, manufacturers increase the speed at which the plotters spin from one generation of drives to the next, with multiple speeds coexisting in the marketplace for an unpredictable period, at least until the demand dies down for one or more speeds. The following spin rates have been used in the industry for the plotters and conventional magnetic hard disk drives. Let me reread that. If the plotters are spinning at a constant rate, the information can be accessed only as fast as the given fixed rate. Manufacturers increase the speed. So if you have higher RPM, your hard drive is faster. Is that literally how it works? What the fuck? I guess so. Okay, I mean that makes sense. I mean, I kind of like maybe knew that, but just reading it like that, kind of hits harder, I guess. Okay. Falling spin rates have been used in the industry for the plotters in conventional magnetic hard disk drives. 5,400 RPM, 7,200 RPM, 10,000 RPM, 12,000 RPM, and 15,000 RPM. While it is true that a higher revolution per minute RPM rating results in the ability to move data more quickly, there are many applications that do not benefit from increased disk access speeds. As a result, you should choose only faster drives, which are also unusually more expensive per byte of capacity when you have an application for this type of performance, such as for housing the partition where the operating system resides, or for very disk-intensive programs. For comparison, a 7,200 RPM SATA hard drive can sustain data read speeds of about 100 megabytes per second, which is about the same as a PATA ATA 10 7,200 RPM drive. A 10,000 RPM, also known as a 10K, SATA drive can top out at around 200 megabytes per second. Note, all 15,000 RPM drives are SAS drives, not SATA or PATA drives. Ochre. Higher speeds also consume more energy and produce more heat. The lower speeds can be ideal in laptops, where heat production and battery usage can be issues with higher speed drives. Even the fastest conventional hard drives are slower than solid state drives are at transferring data. HDD form factor. Physically, the most common hard drive form factors sizes are 3.5 inches and 2.5 inches. Desktops traditionally use 3.5-inch drives, whereas the 2.5 drives are made for laptops, although most laptops today avoid using conventional hard drives. Converter kits are available to mount a 2.5-inch drive to a 3.5-inch desktop hard drive bay. Figure 2.2 shows the two drives together. As you can see, the 2.5 drive is significantly smaller in all three dimensions, but it does have the same connectors as its bigger cousin. Oh. What is this angle? Like, what is this angle? Like, I don't know. I think they should do top down, in my opinion. They should. What is this angle? Like, it feels kind of like fisheye or something. Pretty much. Also, it's a 21F. Yeah, like, what is this angle, bro? Faster read. Yeah, I'm self-taught too, doing exactly what you're doing, the path you're on. Oh, thanks. And sometimes I get kind of like embarrassed when people ask me, like, what the fuck am I doing? But I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, economy's cooked, country's cooked, we're cooked. You know, we only live once. And I'm young, you know what I mean? I can always just move to a different industry if I don't like it. I think this is like the most opportune time to try out different things. And I always say this, you know, engineering and computer science or IT, like they're cousins. Like there's a lot that you can transfer from one to the other. And they basically have an intersection with like network engineering and whatnot. So I digress. So I feel very confident that like I can always, you know, find something that I can do with my skill set, which I'm very glad because, like, you know, I think it's really hard as an engineer, especially in today's day and age where it's just, you know, with the tech race and like, you know, LinkedIn culture. I won't get into it, right? And like, just the job market right now is really, really hard, and it's just you're really swimming against the tide as a person like me, and I'm cooked, you know, mentally, and I'm just whatever, but I'm also very driven. Like I won't give up. It's just a matter of, you know, being in the right place at the right time. continuing to put myself out there, developing my skills and just keeping an open mind, I think that will land me in a place where I will be happy. I mean, I like my current job, right? But it's not the job I want to be in forever. But I'm always of the opinion, any job is better than no job. I'll work anything. I'll fucking work I'll work McDonald's. I'll work anything. You know what I mean? If it means I can have, stability. You know what I mean? And I especially feel because like I don't really rely on my family. I told you guys this before. I don't rely on my family. My mom helps me with like my insurance for like my car and like my phone, but everything else I pay myself. And like eventually I want to get off of it. I just need to figure out a way to break it to her. But and I've been basically independent, or at least partially or mostly independent since I've been out of college since I was 21. You know what I mean? So I have like a deeper feeling of independence, but also I like being independent. I like being able to take care of myself, but also I like pushing myself and learning more about the world. And I've been kind of like in a funk for a while because I feel like I'm not smart enough to like do all of this shit or like to get my FE or pass my PE or whatever, or even to do these certs, right? But like the more that I've kind of pushed myself to study, right, and like do these things or develop my skills, like I think it's kind of shown me that I am capable. It's really just like the environment and also like my mental, right, that have kind of led me to believe that, and like whatever. But I'm very grateful that you guys support me on this journey. Yeah, it's fun to learn about the magic beneath the curtain. Like there's always some things I kind of want to keep, you know what I mean? Like I don't think I would ever want to get into the game dev industry just because like I would want to like make my own game eventually. I already told you guys I've been working on some projects like that, but I don't want to like make that like my career. You know what I mean? There's like other things in STEM that interest me more. But I think being able to like, decipher a lot of the mysticism or the unknown nature of things that interest me, especially engineering or technology, or even computers, for example, right? It's very empowering to like, get closer to understanding it, which I think is a very special feeling. Can we focus? Let me focus. Solid state drives. Unlike conventional hard drives, solid state drives have no moving parts. They use the same solid-state memory technology found in the other forms of flash memory. You can think of them as big versions of flash drives that are so common. Because they have no moving parts, SSDs are capable of transferring data much more quickly than hard drives could ever dream of doing. Recall from the hard drive speed section that a 10K SATA hard drive tops out at about 200 megabytes per second. Even the slowest SSD will run circles around that. The true speed of an SSD will be determined, of course, by the drive itself, but also the interface to which it's attached. Okay. I was 25 after college. When I switched, took 3 years, but you can do it. Passion carried me. It's fun. That's cool. There's so many snowballs that have like cool lives. That's cool learning about like everyone's like journey, because I feel like everyone has like their own story, right, with how they led up to where they are. Because there's no need for spinning platters and read-write heads, SSDs can be made much smaller than hard drives, making them better for laptops and portable devices. SSDs have several other advantages over their mechanical counterparts as well, including the following: faster startup and read times, less power consumption and heat produced, silent operation, generally more reliable because of a lack of moving parts, less susceptible to damage from physical shock and heat production, higher data density per square centimeter. The disadvantages of SSDs are as follows: the technology to build an SSD is more expensive per byte. All solid-state memory is limited to a finite number of writes, including erase operations. Lack of longevity could be an issue. As the technology matures, this is becoming less and less of a problem. Okay. Okay. Didn't know that. You will find that SSDs in the market generally have lower overall capacity than hard drives. For example, it's not uncommon to find hard drives over 8 terabytes in size, with 18 terabyte drive pacing the market. Conversely, the biggest commercial available SSD as of this writing is 8 terabytes. As for costs, hard drives run about 3 cents per gigabyte, and low-end SATA SSDs are about 3 times as expensive. Faster SSDs, such as NVMe drives, which we'll get into in a minute, can be from 4 to 10 times as expensive. Of course, prices are subject to, and it's guaranteed they will change. Yeah, I have no idea. I bet this shit's more expensive now, for sure. For sure. When using a replacement for traditional hard drives, SSDs are expected to behave in a similar fashion, mainly by retaining content across a power cycle. With SSDs, you can also expect to maintain or exceed the speed of the hard drive. SSDs can be made faster still by including a small amount of DRAM as a cache. Okay. SSDs come in various shapes and sizes and have a few different interfaces and form factors. We will cover those in the upcoming SSD communication interfaces and SSD form factors section. When used as a replacement for traditional hard drives, retaining contents across a power cycle. Okay. It costs hybrid drives, a cost-saving alternative to a standard SSD that can still provide a significant increase in performance over conventional hard drives is the hybrid drive. Hybrid drives can be implemented in 2 ways: a solid-state hybrid drive and a dual drive storage solution. Solid-state hybrid drive and a dual drive storage solution. Both forms of hybrid drives can take advantage of solutions such as Intel's Smart Response Technology, SRT, which informs the drive system of the most used and highest value data. Oh. The drive can then load a copy of such data into the SSD portion of the hybrid drive for faster read access. Whoa, I didn't know that. Anyone using a hybrid drive in chat? Never. I just have SSDs. I think I have like a 2 terabyte SSD. That's it. But that's cool. I didn't even know there's hybrid drives. That's pretty cool. Solid state hybrid drive, not dual drive storage solution. It should be noted that systems on which data is accessed randomly do not benefit from hybrid drive technology. Any data that is accessed for the first time will also not be accessed from flash memory, and it will take as long to access it as it were accessed from a traditional hard drive. Repeated use, however, will result in the monitoring software's flagging of the data for caching in the SSD. Okay. Any data that is accessed for the first time will also not be accessed from flash memory, and it will take as long to access it as it were accessed from a traditional hard drive. Repeated use, however, will result in monitoring. Oh, what the fuck? Okay. Solid-state hybrid drive. The solid-state hybrid drive, SSHD, is a conventional hard drive manufactured with a substantial amount of flash memory, like solid-state storage aboard. With a substantial amount of flash memory like solid-state storage aboard. The SSHD is known to the operating system as a single drive, and individual access to the separate components is unavailable to the user. Okay. Dual drive storage solutions can also benefit from technologies such as Intel's SRT. However, because they are implemented as 2 separate drives, one conventional HD and one SSD, each with its own separate file system and drive letter, the user can also manually choose the data to move to the SSD for faster read access. Users can choose to implement dual drive systems with SSDs of the same size as the HD, resulting in fuller caching scenarios. Oh. So there is a difference between the two. So dual drive solutions, you can choose which drives to put it on, but with solid state hybrid drive, it just, you can't really choose what, it's all just kind of baked in together. Yeah, it's assumed it's a single drive rather than, okay, interesting. That's cool. I didn't know that. I'm learning stuff. Who's bonking? SSD communication interfaces. It's been said that the advent of the SSD was a major advancement for the computer industry. Solid-state drives are basically made from the same circuitry that RAM is, and they are really, really fast. When they were first on the market, the limitation in the system was the SATA controller that most hard drives were plugged into. So, as enterprise and computer engineers are known to do, some started looking into ways to overcome this barrier. True. The result is that there have been more interfaces designed for storage devices with much faster speeds. The exam lists 3 technologies as SSD communication interfaces: SATA, PCIe, and NVMe. We will cover those now. SATA. At this point, SATA is a technology you should be somewhat familiar with. We covered it in Chapter 1, and the interface is shown earlier in the chapter in Figure 2.8. SATA is a bit unique amongst other subjects in this SSD section because it can support mechanical hard drives as well as SSDs. Cool. SSDs came onto the market in the mid-1990s before SATA was even a thing, but they were limited in popularity because of the major bottleneck, the PATA communications interface. Once SATA came along in the early 2000s, the two technologies felt like glorious companions. Glorious companions. I like this. I like the way this guy's writes. I like his writing style. They're glorious. SATA 1X could transfer data at 150 megabytes per second, which was a lot faster than the conventional hard drive at the time. The most common conventional standard was ATA 100, which maxed out at 100 megabytes per second. Then, of course, came SATA 2X, 300 megabytes per second, and eventually SATA 3X, 600 megabytes per second. Comparatively, conventional hard drives appeared to be painfully slow, and they are. Keep in mind that of all the SSD technologies we discussed in this chapter, the SATA interface is the slowest of them. So while SATA SSDs are about 6 times faster than the conventional hard drive, there's a lot of performance upside. SATA SSDs are still popular today because they are plentiful and cheap compared to other SSDs, and motherboards usually have more SATA connectors than any other type of hard drive connector. Okay. I haven't seen a hybrid drive in a bit. When I was building my PC, never saw it mentioned on any websites. I don't know. Maybe there would be like some use case in like some sort of like unique workstation, or maybe in like an enterprise scenario. But I feel like as like a normal user, I don't know if there would be an advantage for it. Maybe, I have no idea. PCIe, Peripheral Component Interconnect Express, is another technology that was covered in Chapter 1 and is used for SSDs. PCIe was first introduced in 2002, technically a year before SATA, and both technologies took a little while to get widely adopted. Like SATA, PCIe has gone through several revisions, with each version being faster than the previous one. Table 2.1 shows the throughput of PCIe versions. PCIe standards and transfer rates. Table 2.1. For version 1, the transfer rate was 2.5 gigaterabytes per second. Right? Or is it thoughts per second? Oh my god, dude. That's kind of crazy though. Like that's crazy how much technology has like changed over time when you think about it. Okay. Version 1 throughput's 8 gigabytes per second, 216, 332, 464, 528. Okay. I'll come back to memorize this. Throughput per lane, one direction. Version 1, 250 megabytes, 2, 500 megabytes, 3, 1 gigabyte, 4. Okay. PCIe 6 is under development and is either coming soon or already released, depending on when you read this book. It doubles the transfer rate to 64 terabytes per second. And improves encoding and error. Is that right? Is that terabytes? Gigaterabytes per second? Gigabyte? Improves encoding and error correction, helping total throughput. Or is it throughput per second? It is back compatible with older PCIe standards. Looking at table 2, giga transfers per second. Okay, giga transfers. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Looking at table 2.1, something might immediately jump out to you. The transfer rate is significantly specified in gigatransfers per second, GTPS. This unit of measurement isn't very commonly used, and most people talk about PCIe in terms of its data throughput. Before moving on, though, let's take a quick look at what GTPS means. It's highly unlikely you will be tested on this, but you might be curious. Okay, you fucking bitch. I'm curious. God damn it. God damn it. I'm just getting fucking pulled onto side quests. I mean, I don't need to know, but I want to know now. PCIe is a serial bus that embeds clock data into the data stream to help the sender and receiver keep track of the order of transmissions. 2 clock bits are used for every 8 bits of data. Therefore, PCIe uses what is called 8-bit 10-bit encoding. 8 bits of data are sent in a 10-bit bundle, which is decoded at the receiving end. Gigatransfers per second refers to the total number of bits sent, whereas the throughput data you might be more used for seeing whereas the throughput data you might be more used to seeing refers to data only and not the clock. Oh. Okay. Gigatransfers. Okay, cool. Thank you. Relevant name. That's cool. I didn't know that. That's cool, chat. I keep on learning things today. A little math using PCIe 1 might help illustrate the transfer rate versus data throughput. PCIe 1 has a transfer rate of 2 billion gigabits per second. Because it uses 8-bit, 10-bit encoding, you then multiply the 0.888 over 10 to get the bits of data, which is 2 trillion. But that's bits. Divide that by 8 to turn into bytes, and you are left with 250 million bytes, or 250 megabytes. Again, don't expect to see this on the test, but we know that some of you like the technical details. I like that. Me likey. I like that because, like, I don't want to just know why that is. I want to know why it's broken down like that. Okay. Okay. So 2.5 billion times 0.8 divided by 8 is 250 million bytes, which is 250 megabytes. Okay. Okay, to get the throughput. Okay, whatever. Okay, to get the throughput from the transfer rate to the okay. I get it. I don't need to know this, but I just want to think about it. What is the farmer was replaced? What does that mean? What does that mean, Zach? Also remember that PCIe cards can have different numbers of channels. ×1, ×2, ×4, ×8, and ×16. So for example, a PCIe 3.0 ×4 card will have total data throughput of 8 gigabytes, 1 gigabyte for one lane in one direction, ×2 for bidirectional, ×4 for the 4 channels. Okay. What does all this mean for SSDs? First, take a look at a picture of a PCIe SSD in figure 2.13. Okay, I'm looking at it. This is a PCIe 2.0 ×4 Kingston HyperX Predator. These drives came in capacities up to 960 gigabytes and supported data reads of up to 2.64 gigabytes per second and maximum write speeds of 1.56 gigabytes per second. The drive is a little dated by today's standards, but it still serves as a great example. First, it's the most common PCIe SSD size, which is a ×4. PCIe ×2 drives are also common, with 8x8 and ×16 drives being relatively rare. Second, notice the transfer speeds. Based on table 2.1, PCIe 2.0 ×4 have a maximum throughput of 4 gigabytes per second. This drive doesn't get to that level, especially on write speeds. This is the difference between theoretical maximums of standards versus practical realities of created hardware. Even so, you can see that this PCIe SSD is significantly faster than a SATA SSD. What? This is the difference between theoretical maximums of standards versus practical realities of created hardware. Oh. Like, I don't know why they showed it, but okay, so if you have more channel times okay. So if you have multiple channels on a PCIe, it's gonna have the same throughput per lane. But is it okay, I think I get it. I'll come back here. Remember that unlike SATAs, which is designed for storage devices such as hard drives and optical drives, PCIe is more of a universal connector. Video cards, sound cards, network cards, and many other devices use PCIe slots as well. Before attempting to install a PCIe hard drive into a computer, first make sure that there's an open PCIe slot of the appropriate type first. Okay. NVMe. Created by a consortium of manufacturers, including Intel, Samsung, Dell, SanDisk, and Seagate. What the fuck? Nepo baby tech. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that these like different manufacturers kind of like butt their heads together to like make these technologies. That's kind of cool, but also kind of crazy to me. Anyway, and released in 2011, Non-Volatile Memory Express, NVMe, is an open standard designed to optimize the speed of data transfers. Unlike SATA and PCIe, NVMe isn't related to a specific type of connector. Said another way, there is no NVMe connector. Think of it as a non-volatile memory chip that can be used in SATA, PCIe, or M.2, which we will cover in the next section, slots. Figure 2.14 shows a 1 terabyte Western Digital NVMe SSD. Wait, I literally have a 2 terabyte Western Digital NVMe SSD. What? That's a little bit crazy right now. That's a little bit crazy right now. That's kind of hitting me right now. Damn. That's like computer gore to me. They do it because everyone benefits. I mean, I kind of like that though. I like that. I like when tech companies are trying to think about the betterment of us all, assumedly, right? Also, what's up, Tony? Okay, that's cool. NVMe drives are frighteningly fast. Current NVMe SSDs can support data reads of up to 3.5 gigabytes per second, provided that the interface they are plugged into supports it as well, of course. An NVMe SATA 3 SSD will still be limited to 600 megabytes per second. Older PCIe versions, in theory, might have limitations, but you're not going to find any PCIe 1.0 or 2.0 NVMe SSDs, so it's not a problem. Okay. One potential issue you might see with NVMe hard drives is that in order to be a boot drive, the motherboard must support it. If the motherboard has a built-in M.2 slot, odds are that the BIOS will support booting from an NVMe drive. If you're adding it using a PCIe port, the BIOS might not be able to boot from that drive. Always check the motherboard documentation to ensure it supports what you're trying to do. Oh, okay. Okay. SSD form factors. Whereas a communications interface is the method the device uses to communicate with the other components, a form factor describes the shape and size of a device. The two SSD form factors you need to know for this exam are mSATA and M.2. mSATA. The Serial ATA International Organization has developed several specifications. You've already been introduced to SATA and eSATA. Next on the list is a form factor specifically designed for portable devices such as laptops and smaller, mini Serial ATA, mSATA. mSATA was announced in 2009 as part of SATA version 3.1 and hit the market in 2010. mSATA uses the same physical layouts as the Mini PCIe Express mPCIe standard, and both have a 30mm wide 52-pin connector. The wiring and communications interfaces between the two standards are different, though. mSATA uses SATA technology, whereas mPCIe uses PCIe. In addition, mPCIe card types are as varied as their larger PCIe cousins are, including video, network, cellular, and other devices. mSATA, on the other hand, is dedicated to storage devices based on SATA bus standards. mSATA cards come in 30mm by 50.95mm full size and 30mm by 26.8mm half size cards. Figure 2.5 shows a full size mSATA SSD on top of a 2.5 SATA SSD. Okay. Okay. mSATA SSD and a 2.5 SATA SSD. So this guy's a lot smaller than a SATA SSD. Okay. Okay. The wiring difference between the mSATA and the mPCIe can pose some interesting challenges. Both types of cards will fit into the same slot, but it depends on the motherboard as to which is supported. You might have heard us say this before, but as always, check the motherboard's documentation to be sure. Hi, Danyan boss. I want to eventually go into cybersecurity or network engineering, but I have a background in aerospace and test. What's up? I'm studying for my A+ cert right now because I want to eventually go into network world. But I'm also interested in cybersecurity, whatever. But obviously, I don't mind starting at help desk. I like helping people. I've kind of done a little bit of computer triaging at my old job anyway. I think I realized I liked helping people with computers. M.2. Originally developed under the name Next Generation Form Factor, NGFF. M.2, pronounced M.2, was born from the desire to standardize small form factor SSD hard drives. We touched briefly on M.2 in Chapter 1, and we mentioned that although M.2 is primarily used for hard drives, it supports other types of cards such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Global Positioning System, GPS, and Near-Field Communication, NFC connectivity, as well as PCIe and SATA connections. It's a form factor designed to replace the mSATA standard for ultra-small expansion components in laptops and smaller devices, whereas mSATA uses a 30mm 52-pin connector. M.2 uses a narrower 22mm 66-pin connector. One interesting connectivity feature of M.2 is that the slots in cards are keyed such that on a specific type of card, only a specific type of card can fit into a certain slot. The keys are given letter names to distinguish them from one another, starting with the letter A and moving up the alphabets as the location of the key moves across the expansion card. Table 2.2 explains the slot names, some interface types supported, and common uses. Okay. M.2 keying characteristics. A key, commonly used for PCIe 2 and USB 2, and it's normally used for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular cards. B key, used for PCIe 2, SATA, USB 2, USB 3 audio, used for SATA and PCIe 2 SSDs. E key is used for PCIe, used with a PCIe 2 or USB 2, and used for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, other cellular cards. And then M key is used for PCIe 4 SATA interfaces, and is used for PCIe times 4 SSDs. Okay. 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 Let's look at some examples. Figure 2.16 shows 4 different M.2 cards. From left to right, there are an A and E keyed Wi-Fi card, A and E keyed Wi-Fi card, 2 B and M keyed SSDs, and M keyed SSD. Of the 4, only the M keyed SSD can get the fastest speeds, up to 1.8 gigabytes per second, because it supports PCIe times 4. SSDs in the market are keyed B, M, or B plus M. A B keyed or M keyed SSD won't fit into a B plus M socket. A B plus M keyed drive will fit into a B socket or an M socket, however. Okay. Left to right, A and E keyed Wi-Fi card, 2 B and M keyed SSD, and an M keyed SSD. Okay, the way that they word it is so sometimes confusing, bro. Another interesting feature of the card is that they are also named based on their size. For example, you will see a card designation such as 1630, 2242, 2280, 22010, or 3042, 22110, 3042. The first 2 numbers refer to the width, and the rest to the length of the card. And okay. In figure 2.16, you'll see a 1630, 2242, and 2280. Figure 2.17 shows a motherboard with 2 M.2 slots. The one on the left is E keyed, and the one on the right is B keyed. The left slot is designed for an E keyed Wi-Fi NIC, and the right one is designed for a B keyed SSD. This song's gonna distract me, bro. Okay. Okay, so from left to right, A and E key to Wi-Fi card, AE M.2 B and M keyed SSD. B and M keyed. M keyed SSD. Oh, I see now. Oh, I see. Okay, I get it now. Okay, I get it. Okay, this song is distracting me. I need to log in. Oh. Oh. Okay. Many motherboards today come with protective covers over the M.2 slots. Adding these covers to provide a bit of safety within the case is a welcome feature. An example is shown in figure 2.18. The bottom M.2 slot is covered, and the top slot, just above the PCIe 4 connector, has the cover removed. Notice the screw holes to support 42mm, 60mm, 80mm, and 110mm length devices. Gigabyte motherboard. Oh, this damn song, bro. It's distracting me. It's so good. I can't bring myself to skip it though. Oh. Covered and uncovered. Okay, okay. As mentioned earlier, M.2 is a form factor, not a bus standard. Okay. M.2 supports SATA, USB, and PCIe buses. Okay, I was thinking M.2 was a bus this entire time, actually. Okay. M.2 supports SATA, USB, and PCIe buses. What does that mean for M.2 hard drives? It means that if you purchase an M.2 SATA hard drive, it will have the same speed limitations as a SATA 3, or about 600 megabytes per second. That's not terrible, but it means that the primary advantage of an M.2 SATA drive versus a conventional SATA SSD is size. An M.2 PCIe hard drive is an entirely different story. PCIe, you recall, is much faster than SATA. A PCIe 2x1 bus supports one-way data transfers of 500 megabytes per second. That is closer to SATA 3 speed, and it is only a single lane for an older standard. NVMe M.2 drives kick up the speed even further. If you want the gold standard for hard drive speed, NVMe M.2 is the way to go. I think that's literally what I have. To wrap up the section of SSDs, let's look at one or more pictures showing the differences in the sizes between a few options, all from the manufacturer Micron. Okay. Figure 2.19 has a 2.5 SSD on top, with, from left to right, a full-size M-SATA drive, an M.2 22110 drive, and an M.2 2280 drive. All are SSDs that can offer the same capacity, but the form factors differ quite a bit from each other. Oh. Where's the picture? Where's the picture? Oh. That's crazy. All four of these SSDs have different form factors, but they have the same amount of storage. That's crazy to me. Technology is so crazy. That's so cool, though. Oh, photo courtesy of Tweaktown. There is no way in hell that this picture in this book came from a website called Tweaktown. I can't right now. I can't. And how much we talk about tweaking? What? Should I go to it? Wait, it's like an actual tech, a news website. Oh my god. Wait. Oh my god, dude, I can't. What the fuck? Okay, let's talk about Raid. I'm not really good at Raid. I know a little bit. I know Raid. I've studied it a little bit, but I still don't fully understand it. So, okay. Raid. Oh my god, that's so fucking funny. Multiple hard drives can work together as one system, often providing increased performance, faster disk read and writes, or fault tolerance, protection against one disk failing. Such systems are called redundant array of independence or inexpensive disks, RAID. RAID can be implemented in software, such as through the operating system, or in hardware, such as through the motherboard BIOS or a RAID hardware enclosure. Hardware RAID is more efficient and offers higher performance, but at an increased cost. Okay. Ah, shice. I know there's a bunch of types of RAID. There are several types of RAID. The following are the most commonly used RAID levels. Stripping, mirroring, and I forgot what 5 is. It's like parity, right? RAID 0 is also known as disk stripping, where a stripped set of equal space from at least 2 drives creates a larger volume. This is done in contrast to unequal space on multiple disks being used to create a simple volume set, which is not RAID 0. RAID 0 doesn't provide the fault tolerance implied by the redundant components of the name. Data is written across multiple drives, so one drive can be read or writing while another drive's read-write head is moving. Oh. This makes for faster data access. If any one of the drives fail, however, all content is lost. Oh. Some form of redundancy or fault tolerance should be used in concert with RAID 0. Which is like RAID 5 or 6, right? Where you use like RAID 0 and RAID, or I think that's like RAID 10. You use RAID 1 and 0 together or whatever. For a stripped set of equal space from at least 2 drives, create a larger volume. This goes to unequal space in multiple disks being used to create a simple volume set. Where a stripped set of equal space from at least 2 drives creates a larger volume. Data is written across multiple drives, so one drive can be read and writing. Okay. RAID 1, also known as disk mirroring. RAID 1 is a method of producing fault tolerance by writing all data simultaneously to 2 separate drives. If one drive fails, the other contains all of the data, and it will become the primary drive. Disk mirroring doesn't help access speed, however, and the cost is double that of a single drive. If a separate host adapter is used for the second drive, the term duplexing is attributed to RAID 1. Only 2 drives can be used in a RAID 1 array. Okay, the separate host adapter is used for the second drive. The term duplexing is attributed to RAID 1. Okay. But if both of the drives are on this, or if there's a baked-in host adapter, then it wouldn't be called duplexing, I guess. Okay. Okay. This will be for your home lab, likely. Oh, yeah. I need to. Well, now that I have my new job and I'm making money again. I'll plan out what I want to buy. I'm not sure if I should buy used or just buy new and just buy older computers. I'll have to figure it out. But if you guys have any suggestions, let me know in the Discord. So I think I want to like plan it out fully before I kind of commit to buying some stuff. RAID 5 combines the benefits of both RAID 0 and RAID 1, creating a redundant, stripped volume set. Sometimes you will hear it called a stripe set with parity. Unlike RAID 1, however, RAID 5 does not employ mirroring for redundancy. Each stripe places data on an n-1 disks, and parity computed from the data is placed on the remaining disk. The parity is interleaved across all the drives in the array so that neighboring stripes have parity on different disks. If one drive fails, the parity information for the stripes that lost data can be used with the remaining data from the working drives to derive what was on the failed drive and to rebuild the set once the drive is replaced. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Each stripe places data on n-1 disks, and parity computed from the data is placed on the remaining disk. The parity is interleaved across all the drives in the array, so that the neighboring stripes have parity on different disks. Okay. Creating a redundant striped volume set. Okay. 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 The same process is used to continue to serve client requests until the drive can be replaced. This process can result in a noticeable performance decrease, one that is predictable because all drives contain the same amount of data in parity. Oh. Furthermore, the loss of an additional drive results in a catastrophic loss of all data in the array. Whoa. Note that while live requests are served before the array is rebuilt, nothing needs to be computed for stripes that lost their parity. Recomputing parity for these stripes is required only when rebuilding the array. A minimum of 3 drives is required for RAID 5. The relevant space of 1 drive is lost for redundancy. The more drives in the array, the less of the percentage this single drive represents. What the fuck? RAID Shadow Legends, okay. Okay, so RAID 1, it's just copying the data on the same. RAID 5, so A1, A2, A3, AP is the parity. B1, B2, BP, B3. Oh, and the parity's on the different. Oh, I swear, I'm such a better visual learner than like a theoretical learner, bro. I'm fucking tweaking. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was getting that the parity was on a different drive than the other drives, but I wasn't understanding how it meant that the parity it has to be on a different. Okay. 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 I don't need to overcomplicate. I already watched the Professor Messer video. Okay. Just kidding. I mean, I have though. I watched it, but still. I think being introduced or explained a concept that you already know from a different source is very helpful for me. Because sometimes one source will kind of explain one topic in a certain way, then another source will kind of go more in depth, or vice versa, or they'll explain it in different kind of perspectives that are both insightful. RAID 10, also known as RAID 1 plus 0. RAID 10 adds fault tolerance to RAID 0 through the RAID 1 mirroring of each disk in the RAID 0 strip set. Its inverse, known as RAID 0 plus 1, mirrors a complete strip set to another strip set just like it. Both of these implementations require a minimum of 4 drives, and because of the RAID 1 components, use half of your purchase storage space for mirroring. Yeah, that's like crazy, bro. But I want to do this. I want to try this out now. Okay. There are other implementations of RAID that are not included in the CompTIA A+ exam objectives. Examples include RAID 3 and 4, which place all parity on a single drive, resulting in a varying performance changes upon drive loss. RAID 6 is essentially RAID 5 with the ability to lose 2 disks and still function. RAID 6 uses the equivalent of 2 parity disks as it stripes its data. What the hell? Who's buzzing? That strips its data and distributes parity blocks across all disks in a fashion similar to that of RAID 5. A minimum of 4 disks is required to make a RAID 6 array. That's crazy. You need like 4 hard drives. Oh, it's just a fucking neighbor. Okay. I don't know why the neighbor buzzes my door. Are you fucking serious? Go get an old tower and i7 and shove like 10 cheap used HECs in there. I know, I was thinking about doing that. I'm just worried about the energy usage once I actually make my home lab, but it's fine, I guess. Like that's my only thing. I'll figure out a plan and I'll kind of like plan it out with you guys and get your guys' opinion once I commit to making my home lab. I want to save up some money first, maybe like end of the year kind of vibe. Good for winter. Okay, cool. That's everything about raid. I know this stuff. Should we like skip to a different section and like kind of like move around? I do want to learn about this stuff. But I think it'd be kind of fun to because we've been reading about this topic for 2 hours now. I just realized. I want to read about hot swappable stuff, and then let's skip to a different section just to be fun, for fun. Many of the removable storage devices mentioned are hot swappable. This means that you can insert and remove the device with the system powered on. Most USB attached devices without a file system fall into this category. Non-hot swappable devices, in contrast, either cannot have the system's power applied when they are inserted or removed, or have some sort of additional conditions for their insertion or removal. One subset is occasionally referred to as cold swappable, the other as warm swappable. The system power must be off before you can insert or remove cold swappable devices. An example of a cold swappable device is anything connected to a SATA connector or the motherboard. Warm swappable devices include USB flash drives and external drives that have a file system. Windows and other operating systems tend to leave files open while accessing them and write cache changes to them at a later time, based on the algorithm in use by the software. Removing such a device without using the safely remove hardware and eject media utility can result in data loss. However, after stopping the device with the utility, you can remove it without powering down the system, hence warm components of the category's name. These are officially hot swappable devices. Okay. Yeah, there was a time back in the day when I was a kid, I would never use the eject media thing. There's a lot of my old coworkers at my old job that would never do this shit, dude. I mean, sometimes when you're in a rush and like depending on the USB, like, yeah, you know. Hardware-based RAID systems benefit from devices and bays with a single connector that contains both power and data connections instead of 2 separate connectors. This is known as single connector attachment, SCA. SCA interfaces have ground leads that are longer than power leads, so they make contact first and lose contact last. SATA power connectors are designed in a similar fashion for the same purpose. This arrangement ensures that no power leads make contact without their singular power ground leads, which would often result in damage to the drive. Drives based on SCA are hot swappable. RAID systems that have to be taken offline before drives are changed out, but the system power can remain on, are examples of warm swappable drives. Oh. RAID systems that have to be taken offline before drives are changed out, but the system can remain on, or okay, wait. Okay. And optical drives are just like DVD players, right? Yeah. Okay, I know this shit. Okay, let's skip around. Let's do something else. Maybe we could do like the troubleshooting chapter. The hell is this section? Physical security? Oh, this is like us actually going in and like changing equipment and shit. It's showing the DC jack in a car? What the hell? Okay. I don't want to read about printers. I'm gonna get a fucking printers suck, bro. Am I just like everyone else for saying that? Mobile smart diagnostics. Okay, why don't we learn about troubleshooting? We could learn about troubleshooting storage devices right now, actually. I feel like that's kind of perfect because we just learned about troubleshooting. Or learned about storage devices. Sure. Sure. Yeah, I love troubleshooting. I love figuring out a problem and fixing it. I love that. It's so satisfying, bro. To these fucking normies that don't understand tech, like you seem like a god to them. I literally just hooked up this teacher's like smartboard to her monitor, and she like was like blessing me, and I was like, dude, it's okay, man. Like, I like helping people. Sometimes you'll try to help someone, and you're like, what the fuck? Just like, what did they do? Is like what I'm thinking. Like, what happened? There's been like I think like 3 times. To my coworkers at my old job, they like clicked on like an ad, and they would get like pop up malware, like basically malware. Like I mean, it's like or like the fake like malware like browser pop up stuff. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Other times, like they'll like fuck up their computer. I'm like not sure how. There's this one time where this kid like lit his laptop on, like he lit something on fire. I don't even know. Okay, let me stay focused. Hardware problems are sometimes very easy to identify. If you push the power button and nothing happens, you can be pretty confident that it's not the fault of the operating system. Other hardware problems are more complicated. For example, memory issues may cause errors that look like they're the fault of an application or what appears to be a failing device may be resolved by updating the software driver. So while this chapter focuses on hardware, understand that in many cases you'll need to know how to navigate through apps and software settings to really narrow down the issue. Network problems introduce even more variables to consider. Instead of just focusing on the local machine, now you need to consider the device at the other end of the connection as well. Perhaps that connection is wired, so it's easy to see if the cable is plugged in or port lights are flashing. If it's wireless, though, the signal travels magically through the air, and you might not have blinking lights to guide the way. While all the integration between software applications and hardware components, it can be challenging to understand where one stops and the other starts, or how their interoperation affects one another. To top it all off, you're probably going to be working in an environment that requires you to understand not just one computer, but a network full of workstations, servers, switches, routers, and other devices, and how they should play nicely together. This introduction isn't intended to scare you, but rather to point out that computers are complicated and troubleshooting can be hard. You already know that, but give yourself some latitude in troubleshooting, because it's not always easy. Okay, I'm glad he said that. I'm glad someone told me that. Prepare yourself with a solid foundation of knowledge and never be afraid to consult other resources, such as the internet or coworkers. Situations will arise that make even the most experienced technicians shake their head in frustration. Yeah, that's me sometimes, man. Sometimes you'll hear people say things like, it just takes practice and experience to become good at troubleshooting. Those words are of little comfort to someone who is relatively new and facing a challenging problem. Yes, experience does help, but even newer technicians can be effective troubleshooters if they understand the fundamentals and follow a logical process. True! As he learned in Chapter 11, troubleshooting methodology and resolving core hardware problems. I should read that. The best way to tackle any problem is to take a systematic approach to resolving it. This applies to the hardware and networking issues that we'll talk about here, as well as the software and security issues that we will cover in Chapter 19. Recall from Chapter 11 that while experience helps, novice technicians can be effective troubleshooters as well. You just said that. Troubleshooting becomes a lot easier if you follow logical procedures to help you develop experience. The first thing to do is always to check the easy stuff, such as physical cables and connections. You'd be amazed at how many times a simple question, "Is it plugged in?" resolves hardware problems. Second, see if anything has recently changed or if there are any recent incidents that might have caused the problem. For example, if someone's laptop won't boot up, you might not have a clue as to why, but if they tell you that they just dropped it down the stairs, you might have a better idea of where to start. Finally, narrow down the scope of the problem. Find out exactly what works and what doesn't. Know where the problem starts and stops. Helps you to focus your troubleshooting efforts. This chapter finishes the hardware troubleshooting discussion we started in Chapter 11. Specifically, we'll look at the following: storage devices and RAID arrays, video systems, such as an emphasis on projectors and displays, mobile devices, including laptops, printers, wired and wireless networks, including hardware tools and software commands. You may wonder why we broke hardware troubleshooting into multiple chapters. If we're being honest, it's due to the large number of problems that could arise, the volume of A+ exam objectives that creates, and the amount of room it takes to discuss them all. In other words, we didn't want to hit you with a massively long chapter. Even with breaking it up, though, there's no way that a reasonably sized book could teach you about all the possible issues you could face, nor would it be logical for you to try to memorize them all. Instead, we'll focus on some of the common issues and help you think through the process of narrowing down the possibilities so that you can effectively resolve any problem you encounter. Armed with that knowledge, you should have the confidence to tackle any problem you face, whether it's familiar to you or not. That's what I need, dude. I need some tech confidence. Tech confidence. Troubleshooting storage devices and RAID arrays. Even though storage devices aren't needed, persistent storage is almost universally included in computing devices today. And when they don't work, users tend to get upset. Losing a hard drive's worth of data is incredibly frustrating, especially if there's no suitable backup. True. Storage devices present unique problems simply due to their nature. There are multiple technologies in use today. Some of them are devices with moving parts, which means that they are more prone to mechanical failure than a motherboard or a stick of RAM. Other functions essentially like RAM and plug directly into a socket instead of needing a cable. If they fail, there's not much you can do besides replace them. Before we get into common symptoms and solutions, remember that storage system problems usually stem from one of the following three causes. The adapter, that is the SATA, PATA, or other interface, is bad. The hard drive or optical disc is bad or failing. The adapter and disk are connected incorrectly. The first and last causes are easy to identify because in either case, the symptom will be obvious: the drive won't work. You won't be able to get the computer to communicate with the hard drive. The way to see which component is at fault is to disconnect and reconnect, or to try the device in another system, or try another drive in the affected system. However, if the problem is a bad or failing disk drive, the symptoms aren't always as obvious. Those are problems we will need to dive deeper into. In the following sections, we'll discuss hard drive problems, including using smart technology and RAID arrays. Then we'll finish by taking a quick look at optical drive issues. Oh my god, dude, I've been talking for like 2 hours. This book is pretty interesting. Like, I like reading it. Like, I want to read more. It's just, I can't because I have to work. Lights and sounds. While looking at light emitting diode LED status indicators is listed as a subjective specifically under storage drives, it could be put into several different places as well. A lot of devices have lights that can indicate whether or not a component is working. Storage systems usually have some sort of activity indicator that blinks when the drive is busy either reading or writing data. If the light never comes on, or if the light is on constantly without flickering, there could be a problem. External network attached storage, NAS. And redundant array. Yeah, I want to build a NAS. Sorry, I just got distracted. External network attached storage and redundant array of independent or inexpensive disk RAID storage enclosures have lights as well and may have many more than a standard desktop or laptop computer. Wait, what? External network attached storage, NAS, and redundant array of independent or inexpensive disks, RAID storage enclosures have lights as well and may have many more than a standard desktop or laptop computer. Dude, why is that wording so cooked? Anyways, for example, many RAID arrays have a light that only illuminates if a drive has failed and needs to be replaced. We'll get into RAID in more detail later in the section. The point is, look for indicator lights and understand what they communicate to you. Storage devices that have moving components will make sounds. Mechanical hard drives have a whirling sound as the platters spin, and an irregular ticking or clicking sound when reading and writing. An optical drive spins up when a drive is inserted, and it too will whirl. SSDs have no moving parts, and therefore they do not make sounds. Well, technically, if one were to get fried, it could make an electric pop. If you heard that, the drive is toast. Scheißen. Okay. A grinding noise. Oh shit. A grinding noise from a storage device is a very bad sign. That means there's a failure in the motor or spindle. Or if it sounds more like fingernails on a chalkboard, it means the read-write heads have crashed into the platter and are cutting grooves into it. You'll only need to hear that sound once to remember it forever. If the drive is still operational, get all important data off the drive immediately and replace the drive. A regular rhythmic ticking or clicking sound is bad too. That usually means the drive is failing or has failed. The solution is the same as for a grinding noise. If you can, get important data off the drive and then replace it. Okay. Note: talking about hard drive failures is a good time to remind everyone about the importance of regular backups. Oh god. If the data is irreplaceable, then it needs to be backed up. More frequently updated data needs to be updated more often for the backup to be current and helpful. On the flip side, after a drive fails is probably not the best time to lecture someone on not having backed their data. Many years ago, one of the authors took a service call from a third-year PhD student who had a bad hard drive. The student's dissertation, the only copy of it, was on the drive. A bit of empathy was in order considering the circumstances. Okay. Annual backup scare. Okay. Devices not found. If a storage device is plugged in and working, the BIOS or UEFI, should I just say UEFI? BIOS or UEFI should detect it first, and then as the operating system loads, it will recognize the drive as well. If someone gives you the symptom that their hard drive isn't being found, the first thing to do is to clarify where it's not being found. Is it in the BIOS UEFI or in the operating system? It should be found in the BIOS, and then the operating system will recognize it. Someone gives you that their hard drive isn't found. Okay. Bootable device not found. This could manifest itself in a few different ways, such as a complete failure to boot, the hard drive not being recognized by the BIOS or the OS not being found. Failure to boot at all likely means the drive is not properly connected or it's dead. Do your due diligence and reseat your connections and try different cables or try the drive in another machine if possible. Most BIOS UEFIs today auto-detect the hard drive. If that auto-detection fails, it's bad news for the hard drive, unless there's a cable or connection issue. Okay. Finally, a system that boots fine but can't find the OS could indicate a problem with the master boot record, MBR, or boot sector on the hard drive. To fix this in any current version of Windows, boot to bootable media, USB or optic disk, and enter the Windows recovery environment WinRe. In WinRe, you can get to a command prompt using bootrec/fix MBR to fix MBR and bootrec/fix boot to boot. Okay, dude, this is out. I miss Windows 10. Note, failed reads and writes from hard drives can also cause the operating system to crash, resulting in I can't talk right now, dude. Resulting in I can't pronounce it right now. Proprietary crash screen BDOS. Windows or Pinwheel error. Missing drives in OS. Sometimes you have a storage device installed, but you are unable to find it in Windows File Explorer or Finder in macOS. Okay, so if I can't find... So if you just can't even find the drive, it's probably something with connector or the auto detect in the hard drive. If the system boots fine, but can't find the OS, the boot's fine, but can't find the OS, could. System boot's fine, but the OS can't. We can't find the OS. It could be an issue with the MBR with the OS. Okay. Missing drives in OS. Sometimes you have a storage device installed, but you are unable to find it in the Windows File Explorer or the Finder in macOS. This could be a connection issue, or perhaps the drive hasn't been properly set up for use. Windows comes with a utility called Disk Management, and Macs have Disk Utility to perform storage device management. Sorry. If those utilities don't see the drive or mark it as unstable, there are a few things to try. Check the connections and try a new cable or port. Double check that the drive is found by the BIOS and enabled. If the BIOS doesn't see it, the OS won't either. Ensure that the drive is found in disk management or disk utility. If the BIOS sees the drive, then the disk utilities should too. But that doesn't necessarily mean the drive is ready for use by File Explorer or Finder. Prepare the drive by initiating it, if needed. Allocate its space by creating a partition and assign a drive letter. Without a partition and drive letter, File Explorer and the Finder won't be able to use the space. Okay. Update the storage device's driver if possible. This is admittedly a long shot, but it could work, particularly if you're dealing with older hardware. Check the drive for bad sectors or other damage. If enough sectors are damaged, the operating system may deem the drive unreadable. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh yeah, my posture is shite. Okay. Thank you guys. Sorry I burped. It's not very ASMR. Note disk management is covered in chapter 14. And other software utilities are covered in chapter 15. Okay. Performance issues. Okay, everyone lock in. This could apply to you. This could apply to us. In this category are times when the drive is... Dude, this guy's wording sometimes. In this category are times when the drive is working, but perhaps not as well as it should or once did. A+ exam objectives that fall into this group include data loss, corruption, extended read-write times, input-output operations per second, IOPS. A failing hard drive might exhibit data loss or corruption very slow. A failing hard drive might exhibit data loss or corruption or very slow extended read-write times. They can also be a symptom of the hard drive being too full. Hard drives move information around a lot, especially temporary files. If the drive doesn't have enough free space, at least 10%, it can slow down dramatically. The solution here is to remove files or old applications to free up space and look at defragmenting the hard drive. If problems persist, consider formatting the hard drive and reinstalling the OS. If the issues don't go away, assume the hard drive is on its last legs. Input-output operations per second, pronounced IOPS, is an industry standard for how many read-writes a storage unit can complete. IOPS is frequently quoted on dedicated storage systems such as NAS and RAID devices, but it's so variable and condition-dependent that its usefulness is debatable. Still, if a device's IOPS steadily declines over time or is no longer fast enough to service the users, most likely the network's needs, it could be time to replace the device. The most popular tool used to measure IOPS is IOmeter, sourceforge.net/project/IOmeter. Oh, it's open source and available for Windows and Linux. Oh, cool. IOmeter runs simulated disk read-writes and provides results in graphical interfaces, figure 2.1, and a CSV file. Oh, it's actually really nice. For the purposes of the A+ exam, don't worry about memorizing any specific metrics or thresholds for IOPS. Instead, understand what it is, know that it can be measured, and know that if performance decreases over time, it could indicate an issue with the storage device. Should I check out this website? Fuck it, let's check it out. Is it actually still valid? Wait, is this actually good? Open source, where's the source code? I'll come back here. I'll investigate. I'll vet it. I'll vet it later. I'll come back to it. I'm sure it's fine. Okay. Smart diagnostics. As of 2004, nearly every hard drive has been built with self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology, SMART, software installed. SMART monitors hard drive reliability and theoretically can warn you in the event of an imminent failure. The idea behind SMART is great. Who wouldn't want to know when their hard drive was going to fail so they could back up the drive? In practice, though, it seems to help manufacturers locate persistent issues by identifying hard drive design flaws more than it helps end users avoid catastrophic hard data loss. Classic. Helping hard drive manufacturers do a better job isn't a bad thing, but SMART hasn't enjoyed widespread commercial success with end users. This can largely be attributed to the following three factors. Windows OSs don't come with a built-in graphical utility to parse the data, yeah. The 70 metrics provided by SMART aren't always easy to understand, and there has been little guidance as to which metric or metrics are most closely associated with impending drive failure. Manufacturers have not consistently defined the metrics among themselves. There are no industry-wide analysis applications or standards for this technology. You would assume that this would be standardized, but I digress. Let's address 3 issues in order. First, you can download one of several graphical tools from the internet if you want to run smart diagnostics on a hard drive. Table 2.1 gives you a few options. Each one has a free option, and they all offer a variety of hard drive diagnostic capabilities. I can't personally vet these, chat, but you are welcome to check them out yourself. I will try to research some more before I link them in chat, though, but I would assume they're fine. Second, yes, smart. Earl Grey, you're right behind me, Earl Grey. The Miss Troublesome, little cute thing. Then no Miss Troublesome. Second, smart reports a lot of metrics, not all of which make sense. Figure 12.2 shows the outputs from G Smart Control version 1.1.3. You can tell that 2 metrics appear to be problematic because they are highlighted. Pink highlights show a warning and red highlights indicate a failure. The question is, which metrics are most likely to predict drive failure? I don't fucking know. In 2014, Google and cloud service provider Backblaze ran large-scale tests to determine which metrics most strongly correlated to drive failure. Their results showed 5 metrics, which are highlighted in Table 12.2. Relocated sector counts, ID 5. The number of bad sectors that have been found and remapped during read-write processes. Any non-zero number could indicate a problem. ID 187. Reported uncorrectable errors. The number of errors that could not be recovered using hardware error correction. ID 188. Command timeouts. The number of failed hard drive read-write operations due to disk timeouts. Current pending sector counts. The number of unstable sectors waiting to be remapped. That was 197. 198 is uncorrectable sector counts. The total number of bad sectors when reading from or writing to a sector. Okay. I mean, yeah, this is a lot. Okay. Interestingly enough, metrics related to higher temperatures or the number of reboots did not correlate to drive failure. Oh, I didn't know that. The old adage that you should leave your computer running to make the hard drive last longer wasn't verified by the research. In addition, over half of the drives in the study failed without recording a sector error, and over 30% of the drives failed with no smart error whatsoever. Oh. Failed without recording a sector error, and over 30% of the drives failed with no smart error whatsoever. What the hell? Okay, I'll definitely need to research this more, but this is pretty cool though. What does that mean for the drive shown in figure 12.2, which had an error on ID 5? Maybe not so much. The same drive passed that ID when scanned with SpeedFan. See figure 12.3. The safe conclusion is that SMART can provide useful diagnostics on a hard drive's health, but it by no means a guaranteed problem finder. Okay, so ID 1, raw read error rates, failed never. Okay, so none of these what? Normed value, worst, threshold, raw value, type, pre-failure, old age or pre-failure, flag, PO, okay. Relocated sector counts, pre-failure, real allocation event count. I mean, yeah, this is kind of gobbledygook to me, but I'm trying to understand it. So I guess this is the name of the hard drive, the model number, where Geez, that's the name of the application. I guess these are the attributes from the smart diagnostic. If it failed, the ID per attribute. I guess flags. I guess the normed value is like your average or what you expect from it. Worst threshold. I guess the worst is like the worst value, I guess. I'm not sure why he's saying this failed, but it's not. Okay, I don't know. Relocated sector counts. ID 5. Value 100, worst 100, worn. Okay, so this is a different smart application. I would want to, I need to like download one of these applications and kind of play around with it. I think that would kind of help me. Coded by Alfredo Milani. Oh shit. Cool. Airflow temperature. Is this in Fahrenheit? I mean, I don't even know. I think this is all just in its own value range. Never mind. Offline uncorrectable current pending sector count real. I probably don't need to get into the nitty gritty of this, but I'm just curious. As for the last issue, there being little consistency between hard drive manufacturers, there's an annoyance, but not. That's an annoyance, but not a critical issue. All it really means is that you can't compare data from one drive manufacturer with that of another. It's likely that you're running smart data on a hard drive. You're primarily concerned with that drive's performance, not how it compares to other hard drives. If you have a situation where you're worried about a drive, you can benchmark its performance and track it over time, or you can just replace it. Okay, that kind of calms me down. I was kind of going crazy in my mind a little bit right now. Exercise 12.1 has you download a smart software. Okay. This is an exercise that you can do. Go to this website and download SpeedFan. Install SpeedFan. Open SpeedFan. It will begin to collect data on your system performance. Click the Smart tab to see hard drive. I would want to do this maybe in a... Maybe I should start setting up like a virtual machine. I kind of like test out some software and like do some stuff again because I do want to. I've been meaning to get around to start experimenting with different software. I've just kind of haven't. I don't want to like put too much fucking bloatware on my streaming PC, so I would want to like kind of have like a testing setup. I'll figure it out. Click the send it test. Okay, this is like basically whatever. RAID issues. If you are using a redundant array of independent or inexpensive disk system, you have additional challenges to deal with. First, you have more disks, so the chances of having a single failure increases. Second, you're more than likely have one or more additional hard disk controllers. So again, you introduce more parts that can fail. Third, there will likely be a software component that manages the RAID array. Boiling it down, though, dealing with RAID issues is just like dealing with a single hard drive issue, except that you have more parts that make up the single storage unit. If your RAID array isn't found or stops working, try to narrow down the issue. Is it one disk that's failed, or is it the whole system down, indicating a problem with a controller or the software? Along with external enclosures, which require a separate connection to the computer, most external RAID systems have status indicators and troubleshooting utilities to help you identify problems. Definitely use those to your advantage. Finally, the problem could be dependent on the type of RAID you're using. If you are using RAID 0, disk stripping, you actually have more points of failure than a single device, meaning that you're at a greater risk of failure versus using just one hard drive. One drive failure will cause the entire set to fail. RAID 1, disk mirroring, increases your fault tolerance. If one drive fails, the other has an exact replica of the data. You'll need to replace the failed drive, but unless both drives unexpectedly fail, you shouldn't lose any data. If your using RAID 5, the stripping with parity. A minimum of 3 drives are needed, and a single drive failure usually means that your data will be fine, provided that you replace the failed drive. Okay. Makes sense. I'm not talking to anyone. I already talked about this. Also, what's up, Bye? If 2 or more drives fail, the RAID 5 array will be lost, and you will need to fix the array and then restore the data from backup. Okay. RAID 10 is a mirrored stripped set that requires at least 4 drives. As long as one drive in each mirrored pair is functional, just like in RAID 1, you shouldn't lose any data. Okay. Tip. If your hard drive fails completely and you need to get critical data from it, there are third-party companies that provide file recovery software and services. Those services are generally very expensive, and you should have been backing up the drive in the first place. Okay, shaming me again. Optical drive issues. Optical drives, CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray problems are normally media-related. Although optical disc technology is pretty reliable, it's not perfect. One factor to consider is the cleanliness of the disc. On many occasions, if a disc is unreadable, cleaning it with an approved cleaner and a lint-free cleaning towel will fix the problem. Next step might be to use a commercially available scratch removal kit. If that fails, sorry, you always have the option to send the disk to a company that specializes in data recovery. If the operating system doesn't see the drive, start troubleshooting by determining whether the drive is receiving power. If the tray will eject, you can assume the drive has power. Next, check BIOS setup, SATA or PATA drives to make sure that the drive has been detected. If not, check the primary secondary jumper on the drive and make sure that the PATA adapter is set to auto, CD-ROM or ATAPI in BIOS setup, ATAPI in BIOS setup. Once inside the case, ensure that both the drive and motherboard ends are securely connected, and on a PATA drive, the ribbon cable is properly aligned with pin 1, the edge that has the red or pink stripe being closest to the power connector. To play movies, a DVD or Blu-ray drive may have Moving Pictures Expert Group. Decode MPEG? MPEG, sorry. Moving Picture Expert Group. Sorry. This is usually built into the drive, video card, or sound card, but it should require a software decoder. If DVD or Blu-ray data discs will read but not play movies, suspect a problem with the MPEG decoding. Into the drive video, okay. If an optical drive works normally but doesn't perform its special capability, for example, it won't burn discs, perhaps you need to install software to work with it. For example, with CD-RW drives, unless you're using an operating system that supports CD writing, and nearly all OSs today do, you must install CD writing software in order to write the CDs. As a reminder, the A+ exam may test you on how to diagnose and fix storage devices. Be familiar with the following common symptoms: light emitting diode, LED status indicators, grinding noises, clicking sounds, bootable device not found, data loss corruption, RAID failure, self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology, smart failure, extended read-write timed, input-output operating system second, operations per second, IOPS, missing drive and OS. Okay. MPEG 4 is my favorite codecs. Same. Okay, I've been reading for like almost 3 hours. I'll probably finish up the sections. Yeah, I don't want to stay up too late because I have work in the morning, so I'll probably go to bed soon. But I love reading about this stuff. I should probably do a few quiz questions to kind of test myself, but I'm kind of more in a reading mood right now. Troubleshooting video projectors and display issues. Troubleshooting video problems is usually fairly straightforward because there are only a few components that could be causing the problem. You can sum up nearly all video problems with 2 simple statements. There's either no video or bad video. The video card or the monitor projector display cable is to blame. In the majority of cases, when you have a video problem on a desktop computer, a good troubleshooting step is to check the monitor by transferring it to another machine that you know is working. See if it works there. If the problem persists, you know it's the monitor. If it goes away, you know it's the video card or possibly the driver. If the video card seated properly, is the newest driver installed? The CompTIA A+ exam objectives lists 11 symptoms you should understand and know how to fix. We'll break them into 3 categories. Input issues, image problems, other issues. Let's take a look at each of these now. Video input issues. Imagine you're getting ready for a big presentation. Everyone is gathered in the room and you connect your laptop to the video projector or external monitors, and there's no display. The audience sighs and people start getting fidgety or multitasking. It's not a great situation. Odds are that if this hasn't happened to you, then you've been on the opposite side, sitting there wishing the presenter could figure it out. What's the best way to resolve this type of issue? This literally happened to me at work the other day when I had my new hire orientation. I won't get into it, but oh my god, whatever. 1, check the obvious. Where have you heard this before? Is everything plugged in and powered on? Look for indicator lights on the projector or external monitors to be sure. Make sure the laptop is set to output video to the right device. On most laptops, you need to press the function key and another key known as LCD cutoff switch, such as F4 or F8, to direct the video output to an external monitor. This is called toggling the display. You might need to do this a few times. Figure 12.4 shows portions of 2 laptop keyboards in the top one. F7 is a toggle. Bottom one is F8. Okay. Okay. I think it's probably just depends on the laptop. I think you can also do this in the settings, in the Windows settings. 3, verify the monitor or projector is configured for the correct data input source. Having an incorrect data source means that the device won't display anything. Most monitors and projectors have multiple inputs, such as 3 or 4 HDMI, DisplayPort, and possibly even VGA ports. There may be a button on the monitor or projector to bring up an on-screen menu and configure the correct source, or you may need to use the device's remote control. If everything checks out, it's possible there could be a physical cabling issue. You can try disconnecting and reconnecting the video cables or another cable. I've done this a million times in my old job, bro. This is such whiplash. It's okay, though. We're learning again. Video image problems. This group of symptoms deals specifically with the image on the screen or the lack thereof. Here are the ones you should know of. Burnt out bulb. This is a projector-specific issue. Projector bulbs have a limited shelf life, and the heat produced by a projector and its bulb can shorten it even further. If the bulb burns out, then clearly there will be nothing displayed. The only resolution is to replace the bulb. Be sure it cools down first before you try to replace it, though. As mentioned, they run hot and they will burn you. Fuzzy image. Resolving a fuzzy image problem will differ depending on the display device. For example, projectors have focus mechanisms that allow them to produce images on screens at different distances. A lot of projectors will try to autofocus, but will also have on-screen menu options or a knob around the outside of the lens to manually adjust the focus. Yeah, true. A fuzzy image on an LCD screen is an entirely different story. True. It could be caused by external interfaces such as fluorescent lights, magnetic devices, and electric devices such as fans, lamps, and speakers. Check for any of those nearby. If the display uses a cable, it could also be a loose or bad cable. True, I've actually experienced this, and this actually tripped me out so bad. Finally, it could be that the resolution is set for something that the display can't handle, or at least can't handle well. To be fair, most of the time, if the resolution isn't supported, the image will appear warped or stretched and distorted, but it could be fuzzy as well. Okay. So it's normally going to be interferences, a bad cable, or something weird. Okay. There are a few things you could try to fix. In Windows, right-click on an open area of the desktop and choose Display Settings. Once there, you can change the display resolution. Another thing you can try is click Advanced Scaling Settings. Turn on the toggle for Let Windows try to fix apps so they're not blurry. Okay. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. If none of those work, check the manufacturer's website for similar issues, but it could be that the display itself is bad. Display burn-in. When this happens, no matter what you have on your screen, you can still see the outline of a different image. That image has been burned into the monitor, sometimes simply referred to as burn-in, and isn't going away. Sometimes you will also hear this referred to as an artifact. Regardless, the only solution is to replace a monitor. I've only seen display burn-ins of like people gaming so hard the same game, like the literal game UI is like burned into their monitor, which is kind of insane to say. Anyways, dead pixel. Dead pixels are spots on the screen that never fire or light up. You can check for these by setting the background to white and seeing if any spots don't light up. The only solution for dead pixels is to replace the monitor. Yeah, that sucks so bad, man. I hate that. Note, dead pixels never light up, but the opposite can happen too, where a pixel is stuck in an on position. So instead of it being a black dot on a light screen, it's a lit dot on a black screen. Some suggest that to fix it, you can try to toggle the colors on and off quickly, black screen to white and vice versa, or you can press on the display in that area to get it unstuck. Okay. Personally, we've never had success with either of these two fixes, but they could be worth a shot. If a pixel won't unstick, then the solution is to replace a monitor. Yeah, unfortunate. Sometimes a display will either subtly flicker or flash on and off. Those two symptoms are caused by different things. Flickering screens are most commonly caused by the backlight starting to fail. In those cases, replace the backlight. Flashing off and on could be the backlight, but it could also be a loose cable or an unsupported resolution. Try the usual fixes, including checking the cables if applicable, changing the resolution, or reinstalling the video cable driver. Okay, I'm starting to lose eyesight, so I should probably end stream soon. I'll finish this section. I'll finish this section. I'm feeling it right now. Incorrect color display. This can happen when the LCD's and monitor's controller board starts to fail and doesn't perform color mapping correctly. It also happens on old CRTs. To fix it on an old CRT display, you will use a process called degaussing, decreasing or eliminating an unwanted magnetic field, which is done through a utility built in the menu on the monitor. Finally, this can also happen if the pins on the connector are damaged or if the connector isn't plugged in all the way. If switching the monitor makes the problem go away, it's probably time to replace the monitor. Okay. Dim image. If this is a problem with the monitor itself, it's most likely caused by failing backlight. However, it could also be a configuration setting. On an external monitor, open the on-screen menu and try adjusting the brightness. On a laptop, use the function keys to adjust the brightness. Figure 12.7 shows a laptop keyboard where the keys are F9 and F10. Okay. If no amount of adjustment makes the image bright enough for the normal use, then replace the backlight. Okay. I'll read this like next bit. Other display issues. In this final section on video, projector, and display issues, we'll look at a few symptoms that don't fit nicely into other sections. This is kind of the grab bag of random video display problems. Audio issues. Many display units today have built-in speakers. The most common reason people have audio problems is because something is muted, or it could be a cable or connection issue. Yeah. First, check the display unit to ensure it's not muted and that the volume is turned up to a reasonable level. This is done on the display's on-screen menu. Next, check to ensure that the computer's audio output is set to the correct device and that it's not muted or the volume isn't turned down. In Windows, right-click the speaker icon on the taskbar, open sound settings, choose the correct device. Okay. Yep, done that a million times. I'll finish this section. Intermediate projector shutdown. We noted earlier that projectors create a lot of heat, so when a projector overheats, it will shut itself off to avoid frying components or the bulb. This is the most likely cause for intermediate shutdowns. After the projector cools off, perform a little maintenance cleaning. Most projectors have an air filter to keep dust and debris out of it. Check to ensure that's clean and replace if it's necessary. Also check to make sure that the cooling fan is operational and blowing out warm air. Monitors can shut down intermittently as well due to overheating. It was more common on older CRT monitors than it is on LCD ones, but it can still happen. Be sure the air vents on the back of the display units are clear from dust and debris. If the problem persists, it's best to replace the monitor. Booting into low resolution mode. Sometimes an operating system refuses to boot into the normal mode and instead boots into a basic video mode. Newer versions of Windows call this low resolution mode, whereas older versions call it VGA mode. This is normally caused by one of two things. One, the video card was set to a resolution it can't handle, or two, there's something messed up with the video card driver. After the OS boots, try reducing the resolution and reboot. If it's still a problem, reinstall the video card driver. If the new driver doesn't help, consider that the video card is failing. Ah, shit. Okay. Other graphics issues can be attributed to the memory installed on the video card. This is the storage location of the screens of information in a queue to be displayed by the monitor. Problems with the memory mode on the video card have a direct correlation to how well it works. It follows then that certain unacceptable video quality issues, such as jerky refresh speeds or lags, can be remedied by adding memory to a video card if possible. Doing so generally results in an increase in both quality and performance. If you can't add memory to the video card, you can upgrade to a new one with more memory. Okay. Note, a reminder, the exam will test you how to diagnose and fix the following video projector and display issues. Incorrect data source, physical cabling issues, burnt out bulb, fuzzy image, display burn-in, dead pixel, flashing screen, incorrect color display, audio issues, dim image, and intermittent projector shutdown. Okay. Yo, we read a lot. We read for like 3 hours, chat. That's like kind of crazy. We did good, man. We did good, man. Good job, chat. Oh, what the fuck? How did my glasses come off? Okay. Alright, I'll probably take a break here just because I have work tomorrow, but I'll try to stream tomorrow or the day after. I'll let you guys know in the Discord what I plan to do. But thank you guys for watching. My PC has load-bearing dust. Yeah, I mean I've been relatively good about cleaning my PC. I haven't cleaned it recently, but I cleaned it earlier this year. So I have that going for me at the very least. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I appreciate you guys chilling with me as I study for this exam. I've been kind of more gung-ho about it just because I've been putting it off and I haven't really kind of developed my skills in a while. So I really want to like finish it out and like, you know, do it and then get a better job. I mean, obviously I'm grateful to have my current job, but I want to get a better job. And a job that I think I would personally enjoy more. So thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I'm searching. Oh my god, dude, I read for so long. Check out my socials, check out my Twitter, my Insta, my Discord, my YouTube, my Ko-Fi, my Blue Sky, my website, my Xiaohongshu, Mastodon, backup Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Ko-Fi, website. All of it's linked below my website. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Good night, you guys. Night, bye. I don't know if I should refer to you by 21F or 0 by 21F. 21. I'll just call you 21F. 21F, Amin, Lurkers, Tony, Cringe, Fireship, Dan, Tony, Zach, lurkers. Night, you guys. See you guys later. See you guys later. Have a good night, y'all. Anything works. I'll call you 21. I should be live either tomorrow or the day after. I mean, today is what, Tuesday? Probably will be live on. Probably be live Thursday. I'll probably be live Thursday. I'll let you guys know in the Discord tomorrow how I feel. It really depends on how I feel. But I'll try to stream tomorrow anyway. I'll probably do the same thing again where I read a little bit. If I don't feel like reading, I'll just game. But I see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was just a chill reading stream. But yeah, I want to hold myself more accountable to studying, chat. And also, you know, I did pay for this book, so it's worth to share with you guys, so you guys can get free education, free money. Or not free money, but, you know, free knowledge, if you will. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye. See you guys later. I'll upload the VOD onto YouTube. I didn't say the name of the book, so it's fine.